Actually, doesn't wealthy sound like some sort of Star Trek thing, doesn't it? Please, Mom, kill all the wealthies. Hey guys, thank you very much for having me. I'm Rob, I'll be your goofy, thank you very much, darling. I'll be your goofy, wacky voiceover guy, and I am more than honored, that is the Canadian spelling, H-O-N-O-U. I am so honored to be here. It is a real pleasure, and I was telling my new friends, Stephanie and Caitlin, that I have not been to Guelph since probably 1973 when I came here to play hockey. I got my limited daylight speed out because I live in Flint. I grew up in Flint, Michigan, so I know London, Kitchener, Guelph, all of those stuff about the 401, and it's a really great thrill for me to be back. So thank you very much for having me. I think this evening we're supposed to talk about voice acting, which I know a little bit about, and that's Robin. Hi, the $5 seats are not going for $2.50, so your hair is green. I love that. That's a nice color. I mean, your haircuts are nice for sure. And I think probably the best thing to do, by the way, if any of you want a video this, you're doing it, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I am still in the witness protection program. All the felonies against me are in the United States, not here. So maybe
we'll blur your face out.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. It's a fairly anonymous profession in any case, but I think probably the best thing is, I don't know, do we have a number of actors here tonight? We got actors here? Good, okay. Since this is supposedly about voice acting, then, we'll do that. I have 3 panels to do this weekend. This one tomorrow, that is basically a Q&A, which will probably be maybe a little bigger. I don't care if it's 2 or 2,000. I just love doing whatever I can to help you guys understand what the hell it is that I do to the extent you have questions. And then I have another one on Sunday, I think, which is all about TMNT.
Yep.
My goodness, that's my agent over there, because got to check. Cowabunga, what's up? So, why don't we go ahead and do a little bit about that? We have, an hour and change or something? Okay. Let me give you a bit of an overview of how I sort of got here. Not literally, because here I got caught in Pearson, but
point by point driving
in terms of career-wise. And then I'm absolutely interested in answering any question that I can for you guys. Love to. And seriously, I'm really so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. As I mentioned, I was born in Detroit, and my second favorite team in the NHL is the Toronto Maple Leafs. And
why?
The fact that they haven't made the playoffs for the last 7 years notwithstanding, I surely want to own that team myself right now. But if this thing starts to go, that's an old hockey injury to have a problem with. Probably some medication I should take for that. So anyway, I was born in Detroit, and I was reared just south of Flint. And I swear to God, and so those of you who have sort of heard my story before know this is true. I wanted to be a hockey player. That's really what I wanted to do. I learned very quickly, thanks to a big, strong boy from Winnipeg, that I had no business trying to make any money as a hockey player. Because I got as far as junior B, and some guy beat the living Christ out of me with a completely legal hit that when I woke up, made me realize, okay, this is it. As far as I go, I love the game too much to take it that seriously, and I got no business being the ice with guys that are 16 and can beat the living out of me. So the next desperate passion that I had was being a performer, probably like many of you. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Good. That's good. It's a good thing that you're doing well, because if you weren't, that would suck.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to get in here.
Love you.
I love you too. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lane.
Oh, you know what? Let's not just go I'm not going to touch that one. I've got a pretty little girl that says, I've got magic hands. I'm a long way from home.
Everybody.
Yeah. Good night, Hello, nurse. I see. And hello, real nurse. You're our real guy. Yes, okay. Anyway, the next desperate passion I had was performing. I began my career primarily as a singer who decided that I really loved Monty Python, Bugs, Peter Sellers, The Goon Show, all those folks when I was a kid, the two Ronnies, a lot of British comedy, but a lot of Americans too. Jonathan Witters, Red Skelton, Lucille Ball, Carol Burnett, all those people were very inspirational to me. So my start, primarily in terms of my journey as a performer, began as a singer. My parents were very supportive, and I loved doing rock and roll. I did a lot of different rock and roll things. My parents were, fortunately for me and my siblings, very supportive of that. But there was only one caveat, and that was, look, if you want to do Led Zeppelin and The Who and the Beatles and all that stuff, that's great. But you also have to listen to Prokofiev and Shostakovich and Rachmaninoff and Mahler and Debussy and Mendelssohn. And so I have an incredibly deep love for classical music too, and that's how I learned to sing, was as a classical performer. Pull up a chair, guys. Came in the right time. They did your do, bro. Very nice. Cool. Did you leave the window open when you were driving home tonight? Is that what happened? It looks cool. Excellent. So I learned to sing and read music and do all that stuff, and found that I, like probably a lot of you, just love performing. I get a real Jones to perform. I know. I remember my first beer. I was like that when I had my first beer too. So I was like, shut up! Not about Pinky in the Brain. I don't want to hear any more about this crap. Get to the real beat of the show. So I started performing, doing anything from choir at school and church things, and learning to just perform. And found that I really loved it. I think, like most actors, and those of you who I have this podcast, many of you have maybe heard. For those of you who don't know, you'll love it. I think if you like cartoons, you will really love it. It's called Talkin' Tunes, TALKIN TOONS. It is available at iTunes. It is available on my website, which is robpaulsenlive.com. And it's available for those of you who have Apple devices. I have my own app. I have a Rob Paulsen app. All the podcasts are on there. And so you hear from people who do what I do. Billy West, Marcus Marsh, Pammy Adlon, Nancy Cartwright, Dee Bradley Baker, all of us. So in any case, like I was going to say most of you, I had such a Jones and a desperate passion to perform that I couldn't not do it. And it was just something sort of that's organically, ingrained in me. And I think that there are probably a number of you like that. But really it's about passion in any case. And I think regardless of whether you're a nurse or whether you work on cars or you're an actor or you're Dr. Evil. Yeah, I see it. Just nice to see you, buddy. It is really about being passionate, and I didn't do it to make money. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't do it to make money. Obviously, I'm rich, and I'm poor, rich is better. But the same passion that I had when I began my sort of journey as a performer, I still have. And I know that if I have money as my motivation in terms of my work, I generally don't do as well. I'm much better at trusting my instincts and going with my passion that I have to do my gig. And I generally tell people that if you're fortunate, if you find something about which you're passionate, you're very lucky. If you find something about which you're passionate and you're good at it, then you're blessed. If you find something about which you're passionate, you're good at it, and you can make a living, then you won the lottery. And I'm really looking at a lottery ring. Now, what I'm talking about is that it doesn't necessarily have to be show business. Not everybody in here is going to make a living as an actor. Clearly in Hollywood, it's the same thing. A lot of people show up out there and don't end up making a living doing it. But if you're able to find something, whether it's cosplay or coming to do this or your own gig, I really encourage you to continue to do things about which you're passionate, because when you get to be an old guy like me, it really makes a huge difference in your life when you have something that that may be your avocation. Not everybody is able to take their avocation and turn it into their vocation. But still in all, to have something about which you're passionate is a huge plus in your life. So take it from a guy who's lucky enough to do what used to be getting in trouble in 7th grade now for money. It's a wonderful thing to be passionate about your gig. The way I got into voice work was when I went to LA in 1978. I often tell people that I was the entertainment of the Last Supper. I got around for a while. In those days, my stage name was Shecky Theater, so Jesus was a party. So I got to LA in the summer of 1978, loaded up on a Honda all over Flint, Michigan, with my mother sitting standing on the porch crying, bless her heart. And I get the same thing. I have gas too, so it's okay. Nobody burps me. Which is probably just as well. When I got out there was ostensibly to do live action. That is to say, my background was music, stage, improv. So by the time I got there at age 22, I had a relatively large amount of experience. And started doing live action stuff, television shows, History of Blues, St. Elsewhere shows that were done before most of you were born. A lot of commercials, probably 30 or 40 on-camera commercials. Actually, a half a dozen of which I did for Paulsen Golding. We shot them in Toronto. And it was great because, wanted to be a professional hockey player, not even coming close. The next best thing was doing a bunch of Paulsen Golding spots that ran on Hockey Night in Canada. That was a big thrill saying, Ron McLean saying, no, we're from Paulsen Golding. Well, he didn't say my name, but he said the product I'm working on, so that was a big thrill. And then I had the opportunity as a result of having a terrific agent. She said, I know that you need dialogues and all that stuff. And by the way, let me say as a side note, remember when I got to Los Angeles, the only outlets for animation were primarily ABC, CBS, and NBC on Saturday morning. There was no Cartoon Network, no Nickelodeon, no satellite, no VHS CDs, no DVDs, nothing. The wheel had just been invented. And I actually do hold a patent for fire. You're welcome. My pleasure. So, it's not that I didn't want to do cartoons. My heroes, well, Billy West and I stole this from Billy, but I feel the same way. My heroes as a kid were artists, not necessarily actors, or singers, or musicians. My heroes were artists, whether they were authors, or fine artists, animators, actors, whatever. I just always appreciate people who are able to do their gig at such a high level, that the bar is set so high. And there are often people that we don't know, it's just they're really accomplished artists, and those people inspire me, and continue to inspire me to this day. So it wasn't that I didn't want to do cartoons. My heroes were Judy Foray and Mel Blanc and Dawes Butler and Don Messick, in addition to all the other people I mentioned earlier. It's just that the opportunity wasn't available. So, lo and behold, the opportunity became available. As a result of a lovely man at Hanna-Barbera who used to direct all the cartoons there named Gordon Hunt, who is better known now as Helen Hunt's father. And Gordon is a world-class director, a theater director, who's got into doing, directing Smurfs and all this other stuff. So they had a general audition, Hanna-Barbera looking for new talent, and I went over there and read. And then in the interim, we happened to read for a show called G.I. Joe, and another one called Transformers. Now, these were the original ones back in 1984, right? Yeah! And so those were the first shows I did. I got hired as a guy named Snow Job on G.I. Joe. Yeah, which I thought was always a little disconcerting because Snow Job was an alpine soldier, right? So he's dressed in white skis and a white weapon and everything, so he blended with the snow, except that he has a bright red beard. And I thought, when I saw my action figure, by the way, that was pretty cool, when I got to see my very own action figure, that was bitching, man. But I thought to myself, well, Jesus God, at that time, still the Cold War was on. Any Ruski worth his salt was a halfway decent shot. He could pick out this idiot with the red beard out 300 meters and take his head off. But nonetheless, I got to work on that show and Transformers. And in the meantime, I got booked on, when I was a kid, there was a great show on ABC. This channel on ABC on Friday nights. Animation in prime time is not a new phenomenon. That's happened before many, many years ago. Flintstones used to be on prime time. And there was a show called Johnny Quest that was on prime time. And the original Johnny Quest was none other than Tim Matheson, who you got well-known film actor. But I used to watch the original when I was a kid, 7, 8, 9 years old. There was a second iteration done in the mid-'80s, and I, little Rob Paulsen from Grand Lake, Michigan, got to be Haji in the second iteration of Johnny Quest. So I spent my afternoons going, careful, Race, it's a pterodactyl. See, Saladin. But that was really cool for me because Johnny Quest was an iconic show for a kid who grew up in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. So it was a huge thrill for me. And it didn't take me long before I thought, well, this is the greatest gig in the world for many reasons, because I, like you guys, loved cartoons as a kid. But it was really cool not being limited to being an average-looking white guy on a set, because LA was full of us, right? And so the opportunity to do work, be creative, follow my passion, sing, instead of starting out as a singer, all these cool things happen as a result of getting to do cartoons. And so not being limited by this is really great. And so it didn't take me long to figure out that this is a really cool gig. And probably about 15 years ago, I just completely committed myself to doing voice work. Up to then, I was just, performing in any way, shape, or form, and I still love to do that. These opportunities are just golden for me. I love now to be able to come and interact with folks. So I committed to it, and it's worked out really well for me. I am lucky for so many reasons, not the least of which is I keep talking about is doing things like this, because now, at my age and the work that I've done, I literally find that I have an audience of people who are interested in what I do. I can have, as a result of my second go-around on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I can have an audience of literally 8 years old until 40. That's really cool for a performer. There are not many of us who are able to look back, and I'm 56 years old now, so there aren't very many of us who are able to look back and say, Jesus Christ, I've been making my living as a performer in Hollywood for almost 30 years. And the first dime I made as a performer was when I was 19. So I'm an incredibly fortunate guy. So at this point in my career, the thing that I like the most is not only going to work every day and not what I still do, but this is so great because, as I mentioned to several folks we were talking earlier, being a voice actor is a fairly anonymous profession in terms of, related to other types of performing. However, because of the internet, because of all the social media, events like this, it doesn't take long for people to put two and two together and go, oh my God, Rob Paulsen is Yetko, and Pinky, and Dr. Scratch and Sniff, and Raphael, and now Donatello, and Weezer. And that's just me. And so this has been really great. So between that and the podcast, and doing a lot more live performances. By the way, my podcast, I just actually posted something up in my hotel room. Yeah, it's going to be on camera now. So starting next Wednesday, the 27th at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 3:30 p.m. here, it will still be free, but now it's going to be broadcast live on video stream on Ustream TV. So if you you go to look at on Facebook or my Twitter handle, which is at Yakopinky, YAKKOPINKY, and you can see the promo. You can go to ustream.tv/Rob Paulsen Live, and that will take you to the promo. So now my Talking Tunes podcast is going to be available in video and audio, still free, but it's probably going to be more of a chat show format because I'll have the opportunity to have more people on. And the first two guests in my first venture into a video podcast are going to be Maurice and Marsh. Who is, by the way, from up there in Timmins, that guy.
I'm from Sudbury.
There you know that guy there. Huh?
From up there.
From up there. I love the Quebecois when they say, they don't pronounce H's, but they pronounce vowels. So they would say, I took the airplane to the hockey game. I love that. Anyway, Maurice is going to be on, and Billy West. So,
Nice.
So we're going to have a nice chunk of Futurama on my first video podcast. So pay attention, guys. It's a lot of fun. It's free. These people are so, yeah, I know. These people are so talented. And all of us, and I mean without exception, all of us appreciate the fact that you guys pay attention. It's really cool. We're really grateful. Especially as we kind of get a little older. This is like a whole new career for me, and I'm very comfortable in front of folks like you, and I'm extremely extremely glad to be able to share whatever I can with you. So anyway, that's kind of how I got into my gig. Most of you know the main characters that I'm fairly well known for, which would be Yakko Warner from the animated. And hello, nurses. Come on in and sit down. So, wow, that old guy sounds like Yakko. And of course, I do Dr. Stretches from the same show. And many of you know me as your favorite stupid land mouse, New gotten to be Raphael for 100 and whatever it was, 60 episodes of the original Ninja Turtles. So thank you. Many of you were not even born when that came out. But what's so great about this gig is I'm Donatello now, the new Ninja Turtles. And you know what? You know what's really cool? My son is 28, and of course it was a huge thrill, as you can imagine, for those of you who are parents. Oh my God. To be able to be a dad with a little boy and be Raphael was freaking cool. And I assume it was for him as well. But it was really great because he and I worked together. He's on the other side of animation. He works on the production side. He was working at Nickelodeon on a show I think called Tough Puppy over Nickelodeon. And when I got booked on Turtles a couple years ago for this new iteration, there was an inter-office memo that went around with the new cast. And he called me, he said, You're Donatello? I said, how about that, man? He said, Dad, you're going to be the answer to a Jeopardy question. And so, again, not having to worry about the fact that my hair is pretty white. Luckily, this color of hair goes good with a purple bandana. So, I've had a ball, of course, being Raphael in the first batch, and now getting another crack. And what's so gratifying about the new one, is that the new show is being made by people about your age, generally, who absolutely love and get the mythology of the Ninja Turtles. They totally get it. They worship the whole animation thing. They're geeks just like us, and they love the Ninja Turtles. So I believe that's why the show has done really well. It's actually now on prime time. It's on tonight. It's already been on. It's on 7 o'clock, I think, on Friday nights on Nickelodeon, at least in the U.S. But what's really cool is my kid, who has no problem telling me if he can see something I do and it sucks. He doesn't have no problem saying, no, look at it later. But he called me and he said, I gotta tell you, this guy's a total freak, because he loves all that stuff. He said, man, I didn't think I would like it, but it's really good. And it is. I mean, I'm buttering my own bread here, but I have no problem telling you my shows I've worked on that aren't. But the Turtles is really good. The cast is terrific. Greg Sykes and Sean Astin and Jason Biggs, May Whitman, Kevin Michael Richardson, all wonderful. But the people producing the show are really know their Turtle shit. You should pardon me. So I'm really grateful to do that. But in the interim, I've managed to knock out over 2,000 half hours of animation, a bunch of movies and video games, and lots of commercials. And so we're about 25 minutes into the shindig, so that kind of takes you up to date on how I got to where I am and all that. And I would be thrilled to answer any questions that any of you may have. So we have a microphone here. I don't know if any of you want to, it's not a big room. If you want to just ask for a seat, I can agree it. So you've got your hand up first, Mr. Shirt Guy.
Of all the different voices and characters you can do, which one is your favorite to do?
The question was, of all the characters that I've got to do, which is my favorite? My pat answer is the next one.
Sorry?
What's your name?
My name, Chris.
Chris? Which, honestly, Chris is not too far from the truth, because as you can imagine, when you're an actor, I'm a freelancer, and so I work a lot, thank God. But nothing is etched in stone and guaranteed. And so when I'm able to get another job, that means I'm working. However, in terms of, I know what your question is, and forgive me, but that's, I'm just a bit of a knucklehead in that respect. I'm so lucky, and I've gotten 4 or 5 really well-known ones. not everybody gets a chance to do 2 or 3, let alone 2 turtles, and Yakko and all that. Arthur on the tick.
Yeah.
It's a great show. I would have to say, probably as a result of what it did for me, Animaniacs in general, but probably, I won an Emmy for Pinky, and I got to look at Maurice. I would have to say, if somebody said you could do one voice for the rest of your life, it would probably be Pinky.
Nice. Thank you.
And I'm quite comfortable being Stevie.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Well, you had a question, sir. You're in the snowmobile race. Where did you go?
There's actually a microphone here for those who want to ask questions so that everyone can hear you.
Yeah, that's right. That's easier. That way I don't have to repeat it. Yeah, come on.
And if people want to line up.
Yeah, if you want to do that, that way you guys can ask a question, then everybody can hear it. So.
That way you don't get skipped too. If, like, you
Yeah, I don't
can hear
miss
them,
anything.
wait, then,
Yeah, there's always the people in the back who are like, wait, what was that question?
Yeah. Can we
We get the answer.
turn it up just a little bit on the, can you guys, speak on the mic a little bit? Is it not on yet? Hey, you got, Step? I don't think this mic is on yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and ask anything.
Try it now.
Now it's on?
There we go. Okay. What's your name, sir?
Paul.
Hi, Paul. What's your question?
I've fallen behind on the podcast, but a few months ago you had a funny comment from someone who was saying, asking about your performance on, I think, SWAT Cats.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's been 20 years, I don't remember, sorry, move on.
No, that's okay.
But I was curious if there is, I know IMDb doesn't have all your roles. I was curious if there is an exhaustive list of all your roles.
Oh my goodness.
Specifically, I was going through the old early 90s X-Men cartoon on Netflix a few months ago.
Yeah.
And there's an episode where, the Juggernaut character, there's an episode where a researcher accidentally or deliberately steals the powers of the Juggernaut, and he's going around. Anyway, it sounded a lot like you, and I was scratching my head.
Well, and I'm not trying to be coy. I've been doing this a long time, and so sometimes I might do 1 or 2 episodes. Like I did the original Spider-Man cartoon many years ago. I played a character called Hydro Man. Somebody bring that up to me, and I completely forgot about it. So, in terms of there being an exhaustive list, I honestly, I can't think, Paul, of what would be better than IMDb, and because I don't keep a list of them. And SWAT Cats, that was with Barry Gordon and Charlie Adler and myself, and oh God, I don't even know, that was a Hanna-Barbera too, but that was over 20 years ago, I think, as well. And if somebody asked me to tell you what character I did on SWAT Cats, I couldn't tell you, but maybe you could.
If you don't have like a drawer full of receipts or something.
I do. That's great. Yeah, I'm going to do a big drawer of like old pay stubs, Oh, dude, look at this, you're a talking water bottle. No, I don't. I think that IMDb and Wikipedia, Wikipedia is, of course, is exhaustive, but they generally link you to IMDb anyway, so I wish I could be more specific about all of those sort of one-offs, but I can't be.
You know what? After the convention, I'll send you the link, and you can figure out if you.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. And now the nerds.
I was just wondering if there was any one line of any of the characters you voiced. If there was one line that you liked the most, what would it be?
I like the most. Well, there are a lot of them. Of course, virtually every. Well, I know a good way to do this. What is your name, sweetie?
Janine.
Janine. Would you ask me, Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Are you pondering what I'm
No,
pondering?
you have to say Pinky. Janine, honey, we're going to do this. I came all the way from LA for Christ's sake. You have to say the right way, and I will answer you accordingly.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Janine. But me and Pippi Longstocking, what would the children look like? So, there are a couple of them. Arthur used to say, not in the face, not in the face! And Raphael had a great line once where he said, Shredder, you tin-faced geek, get back here and taste cold turned steel! I remember I did a show called Tasmania.
Yeah!
What a great cast. text, Maurice LaMarche played Taz's father as Bing Crosby. How's it going there, Taz? Something wrong with that boy, blah, 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 blah. And I got to play all these weird characters, one of which was a character named Francis X. Bushland, who was this, who was this little, like weird pygmy character with a bowl haircut, but he spoke in this very erudite fashion, sort of like, Thurston Howell III, only sped up my voice, so it was really bizarre. And I remember that he took this weird potion and made him giant. So he came upon the Tasmanian devil, and his line was, "Gaze upon my countenance in despair, you furry lump, I'm the biggest bushman you'll ever see." Gaze upon my countenance in despair. So those are several of my favorite ones, but they're all of those pinky, non-sequitur responses. Some of those are pretty good. I think so, Brent, but culottes have a tendency to ride up so. I think so, Brent, but where are you going to find a duck in a hose at this hour? Thank you for asking, sir. We appreciate it. Hi.
Hello, first of all. Love the act.
Thank you very much. Go Red Wings. I know I'm in Gulf Storm territory, I understand that. Yeah. I am still a big Red Wing fan. Thank you very much.
Well, given your start initially in music and then doing live performances and then transitioning to on-camera work in LA, as an actor, I was just wondering, when it comes to doing your primary line of work, voice acting, what are some of the more significant technical challenges in getting your physical performance on stage singing, doing stage and camera stuff? What's your most significant technical challenge in getting all the physical elements of a performance channeled through one instrument, your voice?
Great. What's your name?
Alan.
Alan, thank you. That's a great question, Alan. The biggest challenge, I think, is to do justice to the piece. That is to say, I know a lot of it is, ends up being sort of half-hour commercials to sell action figures. I totally get that. But still in all, there are a lot of people who spend an awful lot of time writing and producing, the cartoons because I can't even do stick figures. I'm just an actor. When it all really works, like Animaniacs or Jimmy Neutron was a very clever show. The Tick, the new Turtles in particular, the original Turtles was great, but nobody really knew, apart from Kevin Eastman, who were there, what the whole mythology and ethos was. Now we get it. I think the biggest challenge is that making sure that I'm able to do the physical drawing or computer generation of the character justice in terms of my interpretation of the script. And I find what I tell actors all the time is that voice actors in particular, it's not about just doing the funny voice. I mean, we all can do a funny voice or a couple, It really is about making interesting choices, making committed choices like in here. And sometimes it's way over the top, like cartoons are. Or sometimes it's very understated and like Legend of Korra is a terrific show. I was just talking to the producer of that show yesterday. I was working with Logan yesterday. And I don't happen to work on that show, but I'm a fan. It's very good. A lot of times the acting is very understated, very interesting. Sometimes it's the challenges are actually physical challenges if you're doing something that is very taxing on your voice. And you want to make sure that you're consistent all through a performance so that you don't blow it out. And then by the end of the half hour, whatever it is, you don't sound like the same actor anymore. But that's one of the beautiful things about being able to record something and go back, picking it up and doing it again. So I think the biggest challenge is probably not unlike any other acting job, and that is to make sure that your portion of the project does justice to everybody else's hard work. It's a very collaborative medium, as you can probably imagine. I'm sure there are a number of people in here who are artists and animators. And my hat's off to you. I can't do any drawing at all. But the biggest compliment to me in terms of putting together a show is when, Alan, if you were producing your own show and you came up to me and said, hey, I gotta tell you, man, the acting, the voice work that you're doing really inspires me to take the character different ways. And that's when you know it's really working. A great example of that for me was Jimmy Neutron, because Carl Weiser, I think, sounds exactly like he should. And
I mean, he's kind of a weird guy. Hi, Steph. Bye. You're really hot. Are you married?
Yeah.
Is it working out?
But that's a very understandable performance too. I mean, he can freak out and, make the Jimmy die! That kind of stuff,
But most of it's like, I don't know, Jimmy, I don't think my mom will let me do that.
But it works really well with the way the character looks. So when the animators come to me and go, oh my God, the thing you did where you blah, 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 and I improvise some line that inspires them to do something. So that's pretty much what I think. But thank you, Alan.
You're welcome.
Great question. Hello, sir.
Hello. I'm wondering, did you get vocal training or is that purely from talent and practice?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Of course, I am just incredible. I'm a genius. What can I say?
No argument.
Actually, I'm not being a genius. I'm Stephen. Blah, blah, blah,
what is your name, sir?
Trey.
Trey?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, well, I didn't pay for training. I got a lot of great training in high school. It's kind of like Mr. Holland's Opus. I love my choir teacher. I think she's 87 years old now, very hard. And I don't talk to her very much, but I have gotten in contact with her to tell her how much her training, especially how to sing properly, the improvisational stuff and the motivational things and the choices we make as actors, you can teach maybe technique, and certainly you can, because a lot of people go to film school or acting school and all that stuff, and that's fine. I teach too. But I don't teach people how to do I don't want you to be Rob. I want you to be the best Trey you can be, if you're an actor. So I kind of let people in on how I do what I do, and try to see if there's something that can fit in with it. I think I was born with a certain amount of natural talent. My mother was a terrific singer, and my siblings are all good singers. But no, I didn't have any proper training to the extent that I went to voice classes, or I certainly did a lot of workshops and stuff when I went to LA, which I paid for. But I also spent a year and change on the road doing live theater, and I was getting paid to learn and make mistakes and figure it out. It's a great experience to be able to go to, when you're in your 20s, to screw up on stage, and go up and forget the lines, or forget the lyrics of a song, or do something really stupid, and figure it out. It's a trial by fire. And it's important, because then when you get to, not to sound, it's not hyperbole, but when you get to the big leagues, you figure out that it's not the end of the world. You can, if you make a mistake, it may not help you get that job, but you're always learning. So if I was lucky enough to have that experience at 17, 18, 19, 20, 22 years old, by the time I got to LA, I realized that the world doesn't end if you don't get a job, and you can figure it out. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you. Cool shirt, by the way. Is that lightning or are those veins?
No, it's lightning, yeah.
Cool. That's very cool.
Mine's a two-part question. The first one is there any job that you've auditioned for that you really wish you had gotten but you didn't? And secondly, if there was one cartoon from past or present that you could voice that you have not done, which would it be?
Thank you. What is your name?
Shane.
Shane. Very good questions. I'm asked that a lot, and I always love to answer because it's a great question. The one show that I came very close on, I think I had 3 callbacks on and didn't get it, but one of my dearest friends in the universe got it, was Philip J. Fry. And you know what? Shane, they made the right choice. Billy's better than me. He's perfect. He's so talented. And he does Zoidberg, and he does...
Arnold Zoidberg.
Yeah,
Don't forget Zoidberg.
Yes, that's he does
Professor Fry and Zach
He
Brannigan.
does Professor, and he does the other, Zach Brannigan. He's so great. So I had a bunch of callbacks, Billy had a bunch of callbacks, he got it, I didn't, and I wish I had, but as a fan, they made the right choice. And what was your question?
If there was one cartoon...
one show that I could work on? Oh gosh. The Paddington would probably be The Simpsons, because it's been it's a career. I've been lucky enough to have a career broken down in several different shows, and not what I'm still working pretty much every day, but Nancy Cartwright is one of my dearest friends. She was on my podcast. I've known Nancy for 32 years. And here's a great little trivia story. For those of you that listen to the podcast, you've already heard this, but Nancy and I, when I had her on my podcast, and I talk to her probably 4 or 5 times a year, I don't see her that much, but I talk to her a fair amount. And when we did the podcast, I said, do you remember working with me on, oftentimes the actors when we first started, even when further advanced, will revoice certain characters in motion pictures, live actors called Lubick and ADR, and something in the film business, know what that is. Where you basically take for instance, when you see the movie Ed Wood, Tim Burton movie Ed Wood, and Vince D'Onofrio plays a young Orson Welles, all of the dialogue is Maurice, right? All of it. So I was doing that in a movie with Nancy called Endless Love, Franco Zeffirelli movie with Brooke Shields from like 1980, 81. And I talked about this on the podcast, as I said, I don't know if you remember this, Nancy, but we went to a place called the Recalendars, which is a restaurant in Burbank, and I said, we're having lunch after that show, and you had told me about these new cool cartoon interstitials you were doing for the Tracy Ullman show, which ended up being The Simpsons. 22 years ago, or 25, whatever it is, crazy. So those guys, she, Harry Shearer, Danny Castellaneta, Hank Azaria, Jurgen Smith, are also great. And I think that if I've been able to get a job on that show, that is one show that I would like to work on for many reasons. Incredibly creative people, Conan O'Brien wrote that show, a lot of really gifted folks. Jim Brooks produced it, incredible talent, but it's a freaking great gig, you know? And they're earning millions of dollars a year, and they should. That show literally put Fox on the map. And so that's probably the one show I'd like to have been on, and the show that I wish I had gotten. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate that. Garrett! Hey, man. What's up?
Oh, actually, I'm a bit surprised that nobody's asked you to sing Countries of the World yet.
No.
But for anybody who's sitting behind me, I'm not going to take that from you. Let's talk sock puppet theater.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, Garrett, what Garrett's talking about is one of my incredibly gifted friends, whom I've had the good pleasure of knowing for years, is a girl named April Winchell, who has done a lot of stuff. She's actually got a cool show coming out for Disney called Wander Over Yonder, coming out with, oh God, who's the guy from 30 Rock, that plays Kenneth on 30 Rock?
McIntyre.
Yeah, he's going to be on the show with her. Really great. And she plays Clarabelle Cow for all the Disney stuff. And she's a wonderful actor. And she was a staff writer on Roseanne for 3 years. She's very clever. She and I do this thing called Sock Puppet Theater. You guys should check it out. It's Sock Puppet Theater, the fancy spelling, THEATRE.com. And you'll figure it out when you get there. She takes the sort of flame wars that people get into on the internet and you do them with the sock puppets. And it's very funny. It really is.
It's definitely worth checking out.
Thank you, Gary. It's very funny. It's myself, it's Billy West, it's Maurice, it's Kevin Michael Richardson, it's Mo Collins,
Fred Tatasciore.
Freddie Tatasciore, Penny Adlon, all these people have been on my podcast as well. So it's great talent. Mark Hamill's going to do one, I think Logan's going to do one. It's great fun. So anyway, thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
You basically almost answered the first question I was going to ask, was how did you get into it? And do we have any chance of seeing a sock puppet theater movie?
Oh God, well I think that certainly if April will be interested, if the opportunity arose, they would do that. I just had a meeting with Shadow Machine, who does Robot Chicken. And so we hopefully will be doing something, I don't know, sock puppet theater, I don't know if it could be its own show, or if maybe it would just be little interstitials like on Comedy Central. I don't know. April's got a couple of different irons on the fire there, but she's incredibly gifted. So do yourself a favor and go to sockpuppettheater.com. It's a great thing to see with a couple of beers with Mike and Did I say that? I'm so sorry. But thank you for asking, Joe. I appreciate that.
Say hi to Billy and Maurice for me.
I will. See you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir. What is your name?
John.
Hi, John.
Hey, I love doing imitations.
Cool.
Mostly your voices, but
well, I'm still doing mine, so if you wouldn't mind that. I got to tell you, John, it's funny. I get people that send me demos. Hey, Mr. Paulsen, would you please check out my demo and give me your impression? I say, sure. And then I get a demo with SpongeBob and you know, Bart Simpson and Goofy and Mickey. And I'm like, dude, it's not that these are all pretty good, but we're all doing it. And Tom Kenny is very healthy, and I just spoke to him 2 days ago, so he's still doing SpongeBob. You're not going to get that game.
That's not what I heard on Sock Puppet Theater.
I know. Sock Puppet Theater, we're getting about Tom Kenny dying. That comes up every 6 months. I'm sorry.
I was
was just wondering, I'm always afraid that if I were to get into voice acting, I'd be imitating other more famous people than myself. So, any advice for inspiring your own voices?
Yes, don't be encumbered by your physicality. You know what I mean? You're a handsome young guy, don't even think about that. What you want to think about is, I mean, I'm old enough to be your father, maybe even your grandfather, but I'm not encumbered by that. And that is how you allow yourself to be creative. We're talking about cartoons here. And, you know, Mr. Spielberg is 10 years older than me, and he still loves cartoons. So people forget, it's so cute when people come up to me and say, "I'm so sorry, I'm 37 years old, and I love cartoons." And I say, well, it's okay, because I'm almost 57, and I do them. I made them. Mel Blanc was 89 when he died, and was working until probably he was 87. June Foray was on my podcast. She's Rocky and Natasha. She's 95! I met her when I met her 25 years ago when she was 70! And she's still doing it, right? So, the biggest, in a nutshell, I know we're kind of running out of time, but the biggest suggestion I can make to you, if you're interested in that, don't worry about the fact that you'll do something that's been done, or, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. All of us borrow, steal, whatever you want to call it, from people who are inspirational to us. So as I mentioned earlier, one of my biggest heroes is Peter Sellers. And I know that one of my all-time favorite movies, probably my favorite movie of all time, is Dr. Strangelove. So,
Yeah, great movie.
And, you know, I basically stole a lot of the scratches here from that guy.
now he's taking a big dirt nap, and it doesn't matter to him because he's dead. But I have to tell you, even Pat Buttram, who you guys have to see Green Acres on what the hell is it, TV Land or something. He's Mr. Haney, you know, with that guy. He talked like this in real life, and I met him when he was about 80. And I said, Mr. Buttram, I am such a fan. I have to tell you, sir, I've been using your voice on a couple of shows. And he said, that's all right, son, I ain't using it much no more. And I just want to keep talking to him. I said, no, how you doing? He said, you're great. He goes, man, I'm great. I just met me a $5 hooker who validates. Isn't that great? But the point is that you take little bits and pieces there. I mean, even like that we were talking about voice acting, even like about the scratching stick, he's the back of my throat. But if I get rid of the German accent, I can talk to you all day like this. I sound a little bit like Kermit because of the back thing. But then if all of a sudden I put in something like, you know, this French accent a little bit, it is all of a sudden a different character. And I can do it that way. And if I am gravel, I am tattoo. So the point is that don't be encumbered by that. Don't worry. Don't shoot yourself in the vocal cords, as the case may be. If you're an actor and you want to try stuff like that, don't be afraid to explore and be inspired by people who inspire you. I'm not a very good impressionist, but if I take Jack and I mess around with him and I put it into some different sort of thing, I can still get hired for doing something like Jack. Doesn't matter that it's not Jack. I'm just doing my best, man! and it's the same way with Christopher Walken. Everybody tries to do him. Right? But you can take those little affectations and turn it into your own character. So just don't be encumbered by your own self-consciousness. Sounds very, you know, mystifying. Just go have a fucking great time. That's what you're doing.
Thank you very much. I grew up with a show called Bump in the Night.
Oh my God!
Did you really enjoy playing Switching Day?
No, I hated it.
Nice, Lane.
Every stinking minute of it. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, what's your name, sir?
Lane.
Lane, thank you for bringing it up, and thank you guys. I didn't know. I think it go, Mr. Squishy Day. I'm sure many of you in your young years have found yourself passed out next to a toilet. Maybe this weekend, who knows?
That was a purely joyful show. Thank you. It was a stop motion show, which of course, as you know, takes forever to do, but it looks beautiful. Jim Cummings was Mr. Bunky.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so wonderful. And I played Squishy Kid. And Gail Mathias from Saturday Night Live was Molly, the doll. Oh my God, it was fun. The music was great. It was very interesting. That show, unfortunately, got caught in a weird crossfire because ABC, on which the show aired, was bought by Disney, and then Disney decided to kind of, dump the show. But we did 13 episodes that were never ending. We're sitting in some shelf somewhere. I'll tell you how much I pissed off people as well. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Hi. Hello, nerds. Wow. You're as hot as Joe Asphalt. Hi.
I was wondering, when choosing what was either audition for or to take, I was wondering if there was something specific that you maybe looked for to sort of seal the deal for you to be like, yes, I want this character.
Oh, well, yeah. What is your name?
Anissa.
What?
Anissa. Anissa, A-N-I-S-S-A.
Oh, Anissa? What a beautiful name, Anissa. Thank you. What a great question. There are some that are more, that kind of feel like they're more in your wheelhouse than others. There's some that's like, oh my God, it's like high and outside, right where the boom, it's just perfect. I like characters that allow me to, I don't know how to explain it. I guess that allow me to access all of my brain. Oh, my baby. As the case may be. I like Pinky because the reason that appealed to me, I should say, when I first auditioned for it 20 odd years ago, was because I knew that he was loyal, he loved the brain, he was not all that bright, but he was desperately passionate about his love for his partner and all that stuff, and I really like things like that. On the same token, I also like the occasion when I get to play, bad guys. I'm in a couple of really fun characters in the latest Batman animated movie. I think it's called Return of Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Returns.
Yes. And I've got a couple of really small but evil, interesting characters. And what's really fun is I get a lot of people texting me and emailing me and tweeting me, saying, Jesus, dude, I just heard this thing you did and it freaked me out. I love that. So I have to say that as a practical matter, I like to do my best on every audition because I need to make a living. But as a personal matter, in terms of what it is, I love to find things that make me stretch a little bit too. Like something that's really evil and gnarly and sinister is something I don't often get a chance to do. I'm not like that in person, and I get hired mostly for happy, fun stuff. So when Warner Brothers or another company hires me to do something pretty gnarly and evil, it's a big stretch, and I love to do that because I don't want to stop learning until they put me in the ground, But thank you very much, Lisa. Nice talking to you. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Leon. I'm curious, how much creative freedom do you have as a voice actor? Because I think a lot of people get into jobs like writing or acting without really knowing how much restrictions.
Right, I have a lot of creative freedom to the extent that, I'm out of the script certainly, but I am now at the point in my career where I definitely get hired to improvise and bring stuff in and act. And producers often and writers will say, hey, we got to take like that route. Let's try something in. You got the general idea of the outline of this segment of the script. Let's just mess around.
So they just sort of let you work out the voice on your own?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. In terms of working out the voice, by the time I get the job, they've heard me audition at least once, maybe 2 or 3 times. In the case of a big show like Animaniacs, it was a 6-week audition with hundreds and hundreds of actors on both sides of the continent. Even with Turtles, with the new iteration of Turtles, because Viacom spent $60 million on the project, they auditioned a lot of actors to make sure they got what they wanted, mixed and matched. So to that extent, by the time I get down to getting the job, it's pretty much, we got a pretty much 90% idea of what the voice is going to sound like. But definitely it's tweaked a bit. If you look at the Piggy at the beginning was more like this, he was little, he was stupider, I think, and then toward the end of the show, he's more up here, so I'm jolly, happy, go lucky, sort of thing. So even if you listen to early Bugs Bunny, Bugs Bunny morphed a bit, whatever, 40 years ago when I did it. So that's not unusual, but by the time we get the gig, they're not going to say, remember what you did on the 4 or 5 auditions? Shit can't add and do something else. But in terms of doing the gig, we get to mess around. Can we do a couple more questions? Or we have to get out of here? That's it? Okay.
Maybe one last one.
We do one last one? Okay, sorry you guys, but I'll tell you what.
I think there's a Q&A tomorrow as well.
Oh yeah, there's a Q&A tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So it's Rob Paulsen, that would be me. For those of you who are expecting to see Brad Pitt, I'm so sorry. But I will be happy, and forgive me you guys, we've got other people stacking up and I don't want to be rude to the folks coming in after me. So come and see me tomorrow at 1 p.m. and it's a complete Q&A. So we'll let this gentleman be the last one.
On Animaniacs, okay, so you played Yakko and you played Dr. Scratch and Sniff. What was it like during those scenes where you were basically talking to yourself?
Oh, it was great.
Just follow up to like, how difficult is it to wrap your head around those scenes, or do you record it separately?
Well, we generally do record it separately, but there are times when we have done one, back to back to back, and they keep it. Like when we did, what's really cool is that we did a song called "I'm Mad," which was written by Randy O'Gall, who also wrote the Countries of the World song, which I can't do tonight, but I promise I'll do it tomorrow. Anyway, in that case, Dr. Scratch and Sniff goes, "Wake up, it's late, it's 20 minutes after 3. Everyone wake up, it's time to go up and down, now, come on, shake a leg, have some juice and scrambled egg. On the floor, on the door, look the other way.